meeting of Monday, March the 14th. And if you'd like to join, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. I got ahead of myself. Right. I'm thinking something just like your class. I know. Thank you. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Archibald.
Here.
Councilmember Ashford.
Present.
Councilmember Lamb.
Here.
Councilmember Mosherak.
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Here.
Councilmember Ruiz.
Here.
Mayor Rapp.
Here. You have the minutes before you from the regular meeting of February the 28th. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move, Madam Chair.
Support. Councilmember Ashford, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there any changes to the meeting minutes? All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes will stand as submitted. We have one presentation tonight. If the clerk would please read that.
A proclamation to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the NAACP will be presented to Kevin Watkins, President, Port Huron Branch of the NAACP.
Mayor, I have with me here the Vice President of our Youth Council of the Port Huron Branch NAACP that's always with me, and she's going to accept the proclamation with me.
All right. What was your name?
Adriana.
Adriana. Nice to meet you. Okay, I don't know if I'll need these glasses or not. It's small print, but I'm going to give it a whirl without it. Whereas this year marks the 100th anniversary for the Port Huron branch of the NAACP, which was founded on March 13, 1922, and has been an innovator of civil rights work in St. Clair County for a century. And whereas the Port Huron branch of the NAACP has had a remarkable history since its initiation and has had a profound influence in our community, and whereas currently the Port Huron branch of the NAACP has over 275 active members and encourages more citizens to become involved, and whereas the NAACP was established with the goal of creating equal opportunities for all people, and the Port Huron branch has continued to do just that for the past century. And whereas we applaud the Port Huron branch of the NAACP for being profoundly involved in the community in areas such as education, community relations, and political involvement. And whereas the Port Huron branch of the NAACP does everything it can to ensure equality for everyone, regardless of their race, gender, beliefs, or lifestyle. And whereas it is fitting that we recognize the Port Huron branch of the NAACP on the occasion of their 100th anniversary and show our appreciation for their commitment to the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, I, Pauline M. Repp, by the authority vested in me as Mayor of the City of Port Huron, and on behalf of Council Members Archibald, Ashford, Lamb, Mosherak, Pemberton, and Ruiz, do hereby issue the Certificate of Recognition to Port Huron Branch, the NAACP, with sincere congratulations and best wishes for continued success on the occasion of their 100th anniversary.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you.
From the Youth Council, I'd like to thank you for recognizing our 100th anniversary.
Yes, first I would say that I was told by our excellent city manager, James Freed, this was going to be a short meeting, so that I made my part short. But boy, I tell you, it is wonderful. Just the thought, makes me shake in my shoes at how long the Port Huron branch of the NAACP has been here in this St. Clair County, and remind people that we encompass in protecting the civil rights, voting rights, and fighting for justice for those, not just in Port Huron, but also in Clair County. We just named the Port Huron branch NAACP. The Port Huron NAACP is celebrating with 100 years of hard work and dedication fighting the fight for civil rights and justice. On behalf of the Port Huron NAACP, I would like to thank the many sponsors throughout the years who have made it possible for us to stay in the fight. Your ongoing sponsorship support and efforts in seeking justice, we greatly appreciate it. And part of that is this council, the city of Port Huron, and of course our council members. The one thing we know that's very important is the vote. We fight for civil rights, and equal justice, but it's that vote, the right to vote, because that's how you got there, is by voting. People vote, the powers that, in the people. I stand here now, and so does our youth vice president here, and our membership at large on the shoulders of many giants that have made this possible. You know, the Port Huron, the NAACP was founded in 1909, and many branches have sprouted after that across the country. And the branch here in Port Huron was chartered in, like Mayor Rep has stated, March 13, 1922. I remember when I was here and to receive the proclamation for Black History Month, I sung to you. I'm not going to do that today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read to you. But what I'm going to read are the names of those giants that built the NAACP over the years that has brought us to where we are today. There's still a long way to go, but we have come a long way, and we're going to go farther. And I would say in the words of the great late John Lewis, when he stated that we are not going back, we're going forward. So first was Miss Evans. And I'm just going to stop this for a second. Understand I said Mrs. Evans, is that the first president ever was a female. And it shows how even before women's suffrage, how the women were set to lead. And it hasn't been seen as much now that in this 21st century we see across the country and here to local municipalities, the leadership of women are so important. So I just, every time I get a chance, I want to thank the women to do what they do. As men, we did things, and we kind of screwed some things up, and we need you to right in the ship. And we really appreciate it. And Mrs. Evans, Mr. Robert Hanvin, Dr. J.R. Ware, Mr. Leroy King Sr., Mr. Fester Spear, Mrs. Helen Floyd. And some of these members you will remember. Mr. John Walker, Mr. K.C. Norman, Mrs. Hazel Leonard, Mr. Nathaniel McCants, Mr. Eggert Harvey. We know about the Harvey Reinvestment Center. And like I stated, the things that are built in your name, you know you did some great things. Mr. Richard Pack, Mr. Elwin Sutherland, Mrs. Alice Brown, Pastor Armstead Diggs, a patriarch that we just lost recently, Mr. Bill McGill, Mrs. Marcia Hogan, Ms. Audrey Pack, Dr. Patricia Leonard, Ms. Jerry Kimbrell, Ms. Juanita Taylor, Ms. Geraldine Brown, Mr. Alfonso Amos. And one day I'll be blessed to be on this list. The NAACP has done some great fight over the years, and it starts with relationships, even from the beginning, even making relationships with those of your adversaries. And then hopefully we're making those relationships building and become your friends, doing the right thing. Because like the great Martin Luther King Jr. stated, the time is always right to do what is right. And this is something I love, and it's very true, that the NAACP is the largest and the oldest, the baddest and the boldest, the most loved and most hated, the most feared and revered, the most cussed and discussed civil rights organization in America. I was once told by some very high-level civil rights leaders at a national conference, and they sat with me and said, "Kevin, we heard you were doing some pretty good work in Port Huron, but always remember this. This was tough for me at first, but I understand now. If you're not agitating, you're not doing your job. So sometimes I have to agitate, but my membership has been their place to get things done. As long as we get some positive things done on the other side, it's worth it. So thank you very much, Mayor, City Manager, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members at large. We appreciate what you do, and together we're going to move this city, this state, this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We'll move on to public hearings. If the clerk would please read the first one.
To hear comments on the establishment of an obsolete property Rehabilitation Act district for the property at 402 Quay Street. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to establish the district.
Thank you. Before we actually open it up, I understand that David Haynes, you have a there something that you're going to show.
It's up there.
Oh, it's up there. I can't look this way and that way at the same time. There we go. Because it's such an exciting project, I think we need to look at it before we get into the conversation. So, yes, please. Now we need it here too, so I can see. I need it behind me.
Good evening, Mayor Rep and Council. We are pleased to bring before you a fantastic project that Gene Harrison is proposing for the downtown Quay Street property. This is a $3.1 million project that's being proposed. As you know, this building, Section Ed, has been vacant for many, many years. In fact, the roof was leaking when they took possession and really was in disrepair. We're very pleased that they're coming forward for the redevelopment. They're going to be creating 5 new lofts, an additional restaurant, a speakeasy in the basement, and creating and retaining 76 jobs. So the OPRA, which is the Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act, is an economic tool specifically for downtowns with aged properties that really, if it weren't for this happening, they probably would not be rehabilitated. Typically, this tool is used in conjunction, much as Gene is, with the state of Michigan and the Community Revitalization Program, the CRP, which allows for a 20 or possibly a 25% grant program for the project costs. But what the state also looks for is local participation, and the OPRA is part of that local participation. So we're very pleased that they are making an application tonight, and as the planning department, we highly support this project.
Thank you. I see they have axe throwing. Do we get to try that first?
Absolutely not. Madam Mayor and Council, just to let you know, one of the things we factor into an application is the credibility of the developer. So there was background review of Mr. Harrison. I called my counterparts in Sturgis, Michigan, and I said, hey, this guy, Mr. Harrison, showed up and says he's going to redo almost an entire city block of Port Huron. And the city manager quickly responded, and he will do just that. He has a history of restoring historic buildings in communities such as Port Huron. He has an extensive record and proven track record, not only in addition to his business portfolio, but his real estate, specifically in Sturgis, Michigan. So he has a good track record.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear, because we have some people that came through here didn't have it. They lost the track, period. So that is a plus.
Well, I'm going to open it up now for the public hearing. So if anybody would like to speak to the public hearing, you come to the podium, give us your name. I have someone coming down.
Hello, my name is Regina Spain. I'm Executive Director of Interstage Right, and Brian and I are here to represent not just Interstage Right, but our theater community. Oh,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is just the hearing on the obsolete property rehabilitation. Yes, you can. I'll let you know when it's public comment, okay? No problem. Before you got too far down that. Yeah. No problem.
Tell her you needed a dry run.
Right. Okay. No problem. Is there anyone who would like to speak to public hearing number 1? Okay. Close the public hearing, and we have the resolution before us to establish the district. Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Ashford. Is there any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Now we have public hearing number 2, which is related to the same property, but is actually for the certificate. If you'd like to read that, please.
To hear comments on the application for an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate for 402 Quay Street for 9 years. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution approving the application.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address public hearing number 2 on the actual application? Seeing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed and ask for a motion to approve. So moved. Thank you.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosherak. Any discussion? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, and I want to thank you very much for investing in our community. It's going to be wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll move on to public comment. You can come down now. Take two.
I'm Regina. You remember me from 2 minutes ago. I am here to represent not just Interstage Right, which is downtown Port Huron and the Citadel stage, but also the theater community within downtown here. We are in the process of forming an official theater district within Port Huron, within our downtown. So it ranges from Huron to Erie Street and McMorran to Bard Street, and includes 3 venues. We include the Citadel stage, which is where Interstage Right lives. Then you go down Bard Street, of course. And you have McMorran to the left, and then we come out right into the Fine Arts Theater at SC4. So it includes those 3 venues is what the actual district is, but a lot of local theaters, including Interstage Right, Civic Theater, the Fringe Theater, and Ernest Worth Productions, McMorran Theater, the students at SC4 obviously use these theaters, so it kind of includes all of our local theaters. We received a couple of grants from it was the Michigan Council, the MCACA, the Michigan Council of Arts and Cultural Affairs. It's now the MACC, which stands for basically the same thing, but shortened. And as well as our local community foundation here, we received some nice grant money to kick this whole theater district off with a theater festival, which will be the first weekend in June 3rd through the 5th. And let me make sure I'm getting everything here. And so that is, and so each venue will have a production going. Interstage Right will be doing 3 Musketeers. Civic Theater will be doing Music Man, and SC4 will be doing Love Letters. We will also, throughout the day, in between these performances at each of the theaters, we will also be having local artists, performers, vendors, all those things within that 2-block radius on the plaza all the way down to SC4. So some exciting things there. And we would like to invite you all, Mayor Rep, City Manager Freed, Mayor Pro Tem, and all the council to please participate. We'd love to have you for our opening ceremony to come out and either be witness to it or just support it, because I think that that's a big part of what our community needs is the support and to see you guys there. So that is our ask for today. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That sounds very exciting.
Wonderful. It is. We're very excited to get this going. Yes, just a little bit. Having a theater district, it just, one of the things we talk about is giving people in Port Huron something to say that we have to do when our tourists come through, or if they're sitting in the slancher, what is there to do, or whatever, and we need our frontline workers. If they don't know exactly what's happening, they need to be able to say, hey, have you checked out the theater district? Have you checked out Sperry's? Have you checked out all these things? Yep. And so one more thing to give them an overall place to go. It's a good thing.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll put it on my calendar.
Madam Mayor and Council, just to let you know, the DDA director is working with them on branding the light poles and the banners throughout that district.
Great. Oh, okay.
Yes, the larger grant that we got from the MACC is actually a community partnership grant that is Interstate Right and the DDA.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening?
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Let me draw your attention tonight to, it's a recent article, it's Michigan History Magazine for the months of March and April. And again, they took some time, they write an article here about Lieutenant Moody and the Lake Huron Red Tails. Well, basically the whole story is about the Tuskegee Airmen.
Again?
And in this article, and it's got pictures of Port Huron, and it just shows you the value of what we have, is the fact that, where the airplane went down, the person who was piloting the airplane that went down, and the resulting memorial and stuff like that. And, when you look at that and some of the things that you guys are going to talk about tonight as far as spending money and stuff goes, it kind of draws my attention back to the Flag Plaza. Michigan Winters cares to do anything it wants to do in the winter. And I guess my remark is I think we need some TLC up at the Flag Plaza. I know this site here is just a little bit separate from her, but the Flag Plaza itself is kind of losing some of its luster, and if we get through the spring thaw and stuff, I think it's time that we did something there. But you know, it's just something. This is a very recognized magazine. To see Port Huron in it again is really gratifying. So hope you can do something. Thank you.
Mayor, what was the name of that?
What was the name of the magazine again? Oh, did you just
It's
read a copy?
Michigan History.
Okay.
It's put out by the state of Michigan, and they basically center around different areas and stuff. And now this is the second time that they brought up the article or the thing about the Tuskegee Airmen. And even though this separated around the guys that found the plane and what the parts they're doing to recover it and to protect what else is down there. So it's kind of a historic moment, and you know, the article ends up with a demonstration of how important it is to our Bridge Plaza, because it's phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? So come forward, give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
Howdy. I have a tendency to ramble, so I'll read. Tyler Moldovan, 1412 Pleasant Place. Port Huron has complete streets mentioned in our master plan, which requires transportation projects to consider the needs of all road users, from people driving, people walking, people rolling on bikes and wheelchairs. That being said, I would like to offer an opportunity to use these complete streets principles to increase access to the park from the Huron Lightship neighborhood and increase safety for all road users in the process, both young and old. In its current configuration, Prospect Street has two-way traffic and an arguably useless turn lane. Prospect has 36 foot of roadway, making each lane 12 foot wide. And according to the MUTCD and MDOT, those are acceptable lane widths for our interstate systems. Local residential roads can be as low as 9 feet wide. I know Pleasant Place, the cross street there, I think we're 27 feet wide in total. But that stretch of road from Pine Grove Avenue to Michigan Street that cuts through the park by the ballpark there, it gets its funding from our city local streets fund. So by every classification, I see it as a residential, local, urban street, not a thoroughfare, which, I know some people on council here have been out to the porch and saw that it turns into a bit of a drag strip in the summertime, with people cruising up and down there. But wide driving lanes and a center turn lane is not something that typically city planning officials strive for in a walkable community. Doesn't promote walkability. The extra pavement from a center turn lane lengthens the crossing distance from people walking, and it takes up valuable public roadway that could otherwise be used for moving people more efficiently and safely with, protected bike lanes, curb bump outs, or even on-street parking, which I assume used to be there at some point. Both of which, they have ample room for some sort of road diet or restriping to meet all the necessary minimums for bike lanes or, the typical road design standards. I was really thrilled when I first heard about the complete streets mentions in our Port Huron master plan, with the hopes that it would allow us to increase safety for all road users by adopting these complete streets guidelines for design, engineering, and overall philosophy. I think that Prospect and the Huron Lightship neighborhood could really become an enjoyable extension of the park for travelers and locals who live in the neighborhood, rather than just another overbuilt thoroughfare for people driving. I think the Prospect Place complete street would greatly enhance the vibrancy and connectivity of the neighborhood, calm traffic, and create a safe haven for pedestrians to stroll and enjoy our historic neighborhood, as well as potentially connect a burgeoning commercial district just north of Pine Grove Park. To quote our wonderful city manager from 2018, walkability and pedestrian-friendly communities are directly linked to economic growth and viability. If we want to attract people, we need to have a 21st century economy where people want to be, and walkability is key to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the City Council this evening? Please come forward, give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
Veronica Campbell, Executive Director of the Port Huron Museum. I wanted to extend a sincere thank you on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the staff at the museum for the consideration of the free admission tonight. Seeing the value of the museum to our community and making these sites free and more accessible is an awesome opportunity. And we are excited and look forward to accepting this opportunity from you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Please come forward, give us your name, and you have 4 minutes.
I just wanted to comment on what Tyler said. I'm Sadat Hussein, owner of the Raven Cafe. I also live in the Lightship neighborhood on Pleasant Place, right across from Tyler. At the bare minimum, some kind of crosswalk situation connecting that side over to the park area, because there's no sidewalk going on there, but people go full bore across there coming up Prospect, and the sidewalk is on the other side. So as residents of that neighborhood trying to cross over to the park or whatever, it's usually a free for all. I got my little kid there. She was gonna say something, but she got gun shy. But same thing. It's like we're trying to cross the road there, and it's like looking left and right and trying to worry about it. So at the bare minimum, some kind of crosswalk thing that would, aside from the road dash, the ideal situation that Tyler was talking about, but that would be a
Thank you.
cool.
Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the council this evening? Seeing no one else, I'll declare comment closed, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Oh, I got everybody for this. Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Lamb. And you can take a vote, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Moserak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep?
Yes. The items on the consent agenda received and filed notification that Thomas Rudicelli has been reappointed by the mayor to the Traffic Study Committee for a term to expire March 14th, 2024. Received and filed notification from the Michigan Liquor Control Commission that an application has been received from JB Real Estate Development, LLC, and JB Freighters, LLC, to transfer ownership of a 2021 Resort B hotel license located at 800 Parker Street. Approve the reappointment of Jack Vallier and Mark Neal to the McMorran Place Commission for terms to expire April 1st, 2026. Approve the reappointment of Kevin Banker, Kathy Holt, and William Bogan to the Historic District Commission with terms to expire March 10th, 2025. And we'll move on to, from the city manager, item 1.
Accepting the bid from Ainsworth Electric Incorporated in the amount of $242,048 for the installation of a standby natural gas generator and ancillary equipment at the North Service Center.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support.
Councilmember Lamb, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any discussion?
Madam Mayor and Council, there is an error on your agenda. It says that it will be coming from the wastewater fund. It will actually need to come from the water fund. My apologies for that. I should have caught that earlier. The reason why we're going with a natural gas generator instead of a diesel generator is a whole host of issues. First and foremost, it's more reliable. This is about resiliency. If you have a power outage for multiple days, you have to source diesel and have diesel delivered. Additionally, based on what time of the year it is, if you have winter diesel or you don't have winter diesel, your generator may not start. I actually encountered that once in a previous community. It was not an enjoyable circumstance. So we believe that we need to focus on resiliency. That's the reason for a natural gas generator. We did do open bids, and we did do mandatory site visits. 3 contractors visited. We received bids from 2. Ainsworth was the lowest bid.
Okay.
Additionally, this will allow us to power all 4 backup pumps, not just 2. That was another thing as well. We want to make sure that we can be at full capacity on standby power, and this will allow us to do that.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah. So it was your intent just to do 1 and sold the 4. Was there any cost savings in the whole 4?
so it's one generator that's capable of pumping 4, whereas diesel could do 2. And so there's not a cost saving. In fact, this will probably cost, you can assume it can cost more, but it provides more resiliency, meaning we can run for as long as we need to run, multiple days or weeks. Whatever should happen, we could run on that generator, as well as maintain full operations. So God forbid if we have a cyber attack that takes out our power grid, the city of Port Huron will have drinkable water for its citizens.
Okay, so it's the capacity of the power generator.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And if you look at what we've been doing across the city when it comes to terms of resiliency, we have now 6 lift stations that have natural gas generators on site. So we're getting pretty good at not having power.
Well, it certainly helps.
But of course, DTE does such a good job, we don't have to worry about that. So
Well, it helps with our emergency management also.
It does.
That we have the right tools in place for that.
the key is resiliency.
Yep, thank you.
Any questions from anybody? Comments? Thank you, James. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 2.
Accepting the unit price bid from Walters Masonry Incorporated in the estimated amount of $273,095 for the 2022 and 2023 as-needed concrete repair contract.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Is there any questions?
Madam Mayor and Council, this is our annual, essentially what we do is we bid out an estimate so we can get a quantity price, a unit price for how much concrete is going to cost us installed. I can assure you that we are going to blow away this budget this year. We fully intend to maximize our CDBG dollars to address sidewalk issues, specifically around the Griswold area, around the Wall Street area, around 6th Street area. We have some real walkability issues there that need to be addressed. We have talked about in our ARP meetings of using some additional ARP money to address sidewalks as well. I've talked to County Commissioner Beeden in Georgia as well as addressing sidewalk issues. And so this will allow us to get a unit quantity price, but I can assure you we plan on spending significantly more than this. As soon as frost breaks, we're going to start replacing the significant, I would say it's probably one of the largest sidewalk replacement years we've had in probably 20 years.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Freed?
I have partnered with Blue Water Independent Living. They are experts in making sure folks with disabilities can get through our neighborhoods. They have brought a list of sidewalk issues and intersection issues that they would like us to address. So we are going to partner with them and do a walkability audit of those neighborhoods and see really where should we prioritize funding to make sure that those neighborhoods are easy to be traversed for anybody.
So they would kind of be like ADA stuff, you'd be
Yeah,
conscious of.
we always do ADA stuff, but we can't do the whole city at once, and so we're trying to target where's the most needed areas, and we've had some issues at specific intersections that need to be looked at, trip hazards and fall hazards.
Any questions? Thank you. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 3, please.
Accepting the unit price bid from Body Construction Company Incorporated in the estimated amount of $61,500 for maintenance dredging of the Black River Canal entrance at Lake Huron for the year 2022.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any questions? This is normally the same one we do every year, correct?
Yep.
If there's no questions, we will take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, item 4.
Accepting the quote from Union Properties LLC in the amount of $30,000 for the installation of perimeter fencing around the Beer Garden, Main Plaza, and North Stage at the McMorran Place Plaza.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosrak and Mr. Freed.
Thrifty Nancy figured out that it was cheaper to buy the fencing separate than having the contractor source the fencing and install it, because all the contractors wanted to source the fencing and give it market conditions. They wanted to jack it up. So what we approved last meeting was the actual fencing material, and then we're contracting with a local contractor to install that fencing. So you have the installation contract tonight. Just one of those, we really look at everything to try to save money on this project.
Any questions for Mr. Trey? Yes.
I don't want to put anybody on the spot, James. We happen to have a picture of what the fencing looks like. I'm just curious. I should have asked before. I can get it from Nancy later. I didn't know if there was one.
We had it, you asked us last time and we had it. Of course we'd be out this time. I will have it emailed to you within 20 minutes.
No hurry. Thank you.
It's quite nice. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Moserak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 5.
Accepting the proposal from Panchera LLC in the amount of $89,977 for the purchase and installation of 2 additional playground equipment pieces at Gratiot Park with assistance from the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation, the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, and funding from the American Rescue Plan Act.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Support. Moved by Councilmember Moserak, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. And is there any questions? I'd like to say that we certainly, it's another opportunity to thank both parties, the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation and the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, because without their assistance, we wouldn't get all the work we get done in the parks. So,
To add to that, the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation, the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, the DNR, these groups just don't cut checks. They have to believe in a program. Nancy does an excellent job building those relationships, and they, year after year, we're completing projects where a lot of communities get awarded grants and they can never bring it to fruition, whereas Nancy's been able to execute in addition to just proposing something. Again, you have some additional pieces here tonight. This will be funding out of ARP money, which allows us to provide for safe public outdoor spaces and encourages health and wellness. This will be a fully accessible park for those with disabilities. Nancy's here as well, of course, if you want to get into the details. Come on up.
do you have any questions?
Well, we can hear from Nancy, can't we? Any highlights, Nancy?
What is that?
Oh, my.
Merry-go-round.
Only you did
Well, it
not
does
say
look like a
that.
merry-go-round, but I didn't think they had
Mayor
that anymore.
and City Council, you notice on here that the prices are a lot different. The reason why is these are 2 state-of-the-art, brand-new, accessible pieces. You'll see the merry-go-rounds that you see now are ones that, remember when you were younger and someone pushed you around?
That's what I was thinking of.
Well, this enables someone in a wheelchair to be able to propel it themselves from the middle. So the reason we chose this one is you also have companion seating for someone else, and they can also propel it on their own. We met with a lot of groups through this project, through also Michigan Rehabilitation Services, and gave us some feedback too as far as shade. A lot of the kids that are on different medications, so that's why we chose this particular one where you see the price is a little bit more. The next one is the swing, and this is a totally new piece as well. I don't know if you've ever noticed some of the swings that we had in the park, which were a death trap, so we have still taken them out. If you notice the old style of swings, they were more of a glider, so kids would get in front of them. They were more of a platform, and someone had to again push you, and it was actually, they were very dangerous. So we took them out of Pine Grove and Lakeside. This swing can be propelled by the user and is a swinging motion, so it's a lot different than the gliding one. So these are 2 brand new pieces that we're seeing in the industry, so we're excited to bring them here to Port Huron. So we're always looking for these new and different things, and you know, like I said, we've had a lot of input from some of the user groups too. So
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions for Nancy?
Yeah, so Nancy, how does this stack up now across the board? So I see we're doing a lot, like tonight we're doing a lot as far as the parks.
yes,
To where you want, you know, your goal was when you were before, where did you?
Yeah.
all of them or whatever, so.
We're getting there. We still have, I don't know the exact number, but we're still working on a plan for that. We have a couple major parks coming up, like Pine Grove, which is obviously a destination park. You see kids there all the time, and
Right.
actually there's some real issues with that structure, so that'll probably be the next one that we'll be looking at, just because of, that was an all-wood structure and a pretty old one too, and so, yeah, we still have, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I want to say like six, maybe 8 left. But, you know, City of Port Huron has 23 parks, so
Yeah.
that's a lot for a community of our size, and we're very lucky to have that. So a lot of neighborhood parks have been really happy to see some of the new stuff. I really do believe that a nice-looking park in your neighborhood makes the neighborhood look good, so we're excited to be able to do some of this stuff.
Okay, and just lastly, you know, I actually have to commend you because, you know, one size doesn't fit all with you when you go about doing these parks strategically, and that counts a lot because the neighborhoods are different. And so, in your planning, do you do anything in the way of, like surveying that community, the kids or anything, you know, and meeting their needs, you know, that, do you
Yeah,
consider
like
that?
we just had a meeting with, you know, I know you were there,
Yeah,
at Sanborn,
yeah.
Sanborn. So yes, we do. And the other thing we try to do is, so there's a couple communities that will remain nameless, but they order like playground equipment, and they'll have like 50 playgrounds and put the exact same structure in every single one. Our goal is to provide an innovative play space in all the different neighborhoods. It's been kind of cool for me to see people that live north end Port Huron go to Lincoln Park and try the pirate ship, and then people south side of Port Huron coming to the north side to come to Optimus Park, and that's what you really want is, as you know, I mean, little baby Lucy, you know, she likes to go, all these kids are like, you know, keep them busy. The way we keep busy is to provide different opportunities. So you get tired of playing at Lincoln Park, you go with another one. So we're really getting a chance to see all of our parks, which that's our goal. And we're going to have some programs this summer that you get a little passport to try them all, and that's what we kind of want families to do, because each one is uniquely different. So,
And I thought that that was worth saying, so
Yes.
everybody would know that you just don't, you know, throw something up and happen. This is what we
No.
have because it's free and because people are, you know, putting their money towards this. You do it by design and from the heart. So
for
actually,
sure,
I appreciate that.
we actually have a reputation now, because we meet with the creative team of a couple of playground places, and they know, like, our one at Palmer is the only one still in the country.
Yeah.
We're featured all over the world. I saw a video of it, and so we continue to look for those unique opportunities for the kids. So,
Okay, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Rapp?
Yes. We're going to take, if there's no objection, items 6, 7, and 8 together because they all have to do with the wiffle ball field at 16th Street Park. So they all need to be approved or not approved, not one. So we're going to take them all together. So go ahead.
Accepting the bid from Union Properties Construction LLC in the amount of $42,750 for Phase 1 construction of the wiffle ball field at 16th Street Park. Accepting the bid from A-Turf in the amount of $84,900 for Phase 2 construction of the wiffle ball park at 16th Street Park. And accepting the bid from Union Properties Construction LLC in the amount of $53,024 for Phase 3 construction of the wiffle ball field at 16th Street Park.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Is there any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Go ahead.
All these three and the previous, from the city manager, I just don't want to just fly over the American Rescue Plan funding. And I think that we're doing a good job and doing what we're supposed to do with that and covering all the bases as far as that, because the legislator, some of the legislators say that people are being reckless. You know, that's the conversation now. We're due to go to Lansing tomorrow, Pauline and Sherry and I, you know, And this is, you know, one of the things that they're saying that, you know, people are really going at this spending money recklessly. But we have been all over the place, and with the new rules that have come down from the feds, you know, we were able to doing our infrastructure, and we're also investing in lives and our kids' lives at that. So I think that, you know, hats off to our federal government for making all this stuff possible for us in collaboration with our other foundations and other donors here. So I just wanted to let the people know that it's making a difference.
And it is. Thank you.
I don't know why she ran off, because she's got a picture and everything, but I really want Nancy to talk about this, because this is probably one of the coolest things we've done in quite some time.
Oh, the whipple ball.
I was going to ask.
And I know Nancy's been very excited about this, because I hear her talk about it in the office all the time, so I want to make sure we get a little highlight reel of what's going on here.
What age is it? Can I get play whipple ball?
Anybody.
Anybody can play.
We expect to see all of you out there. Actually, is the other picture in there too, Bruce? Might be a little bit better. There we go. Okay, Mayor Rep, City Council. So a wiffle ball field is something that's a little different. And the reason why we're kind of excited to bring it here to Port Huron, and the Wilson Foundation was excited to bring it here, is it really levels the playing field, no pun intended, for everybody, because you only need a couple people to play. It's a smaller field, so it's not like you have to be on a team or you have to be on a travel team. Anybody can play. And so, as Councilman Ashford said, as well as you, I've even had some adult people saying, hey, we want to, bring our workers out here and play a wiffle ball. And it's just like you remember from when you were a kid. It's, if you've ever been to Jimmy John's Stadium, they have one there. And again, it's really just opening the door for more free play for kids. So you don't have to be on a team. You can trying to get back to more like where you come out, you grab your friend, you don't need a glove, you don't need, and we'll have bins like we do in our other parks with equipment there. And a lot of people say like people take equipment, but if you go by Gratiot Park, you always see all the basketballs everywhere. It's because we have a bin there, and you take what you play with, and then you leave it there. We'll do the same thing here. So there'll be a wiffle ball, wiffle bat available, and it's really going to be kind of, I think, a neat thing for the neighborhood. We'll be looking at 16th Street as a whole. The playground equipment there needs to be removed, and this is just another unique opportunity, we think, for play. So super excited about this. I'm hoping, again, you know how some kids are super athletic, other kids aren't. If we built a new field, it'd be taken over by all the travel teams and, kids that always get those opportunities. This gives everybody on the same playing field. So we're super excited about the football field.
So this is not a baseball field? It won't be a baseball field anymore?
It's a smaller field, and again, it really just opens the door for all kids. Okay. So
great. Thank you. We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. We'll move on to resolutions. Number 1.
Authorizing 10 payments.
Is there a motion?
Moved.
Support.
Councilmember Mosherak, supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Is there any discussion? We will take the vote.
Councilmember Mosherak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 2.
Approving the agreement with Rowe Professional Services Company for professional construction engineering services for the 4th Street Reconstruction and Utility Improvement Project.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Councilmember Ashford, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Yes.
Madam Mayor and Council, this is literally, so when they rip out the road and they begin to put the water main in, they're literally going to stake where the water and sewer main go, stake where the curb go. You really want a professional telling them, overseeing that stuff. So this is what specifically that contract goes for.
Mayor, and then when we put it here, this is budgeted, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, these are all budgeted.
Yep.
You're just
Correct.
gracious enough to let us know what fund it's coming out of.
Yep.
Any other questions? We'll take the vote.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 3, please.
Authorizing the city manager to purchase 4 new or used motor vehicles with a purchase price not to exceed $45,000 per motor vehicle to maintain the city's motor vehicle pool fleet.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. And you did note that the clerk did read that as new or used, because that's how it's going to read in the resolution. It did just say used, but it's new or used. Right.
Madam Mayor and Council, what a time to be alive. Nobody wants to sell us a new vehicle. As you remember, last February, we ordered a couple pickup trucks, and then in June we did the same. And at the time, I said this is wishful thinking, and sure enough, 8 months later, they have canceled those orders because of the chip shortage. In the previous couple years, we had slowed down the replacement schedule, trying to bleed the last bit of life out of every truck and every vehicle before we bought a new one, just like you and I do with our own personal vehicle. That strategy worked out good until there was no new vehicles. So this is highly unusual, but you're essentially authorizing me to look for new vehicles, and if we can't find a new vehicle, to buy a gently used vehicle, a lease return, or something of that nature, low miles. And so what this will allow us to do is to look at the used inventory at dealerships within the region, because we have to go broad, because even the used market is tough right now, as someone who just bought a used vehicle last week, to purchase up to 4 vehicles. Now we have other vehicles planned to purchase, and we're going to wait, and hopefully we can get the semiconductors and get the chips for that, but these are for the vehicles that we have to replace to keep the fleet going. We'll hold out for the ones we can, but this will allow us just to shop around and buy a gently used truck that meets our needs. Fleet vehicles are not the same as your other vehicles. I mean, when you get a fleet vehicle, our guys crank the window down still, and they don't have power windows, and so when chips do come in, they oftentimes allocate those chips to the higher end vehicles, a truck that has leather and power windows and the King Ranch package, rather than a fleet vehicle because it has a higher yield of profit. And so this could go on for quite some time for fleet vehicles. So this is just dealing with the reality of the times we are in. I will try to be good fiduciaries when I look at the vehicles. We have excellent folks in the motor pool fund who can find what's a reasonable deal. And maybe we find out that buying gently used vehicles may be something we should always look at. I don't know.
Any questions for Mr. Freed? No? Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. We will take the vote.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes. Item 4.
Authorizing payment in the amount of $50,000 to the Port Huron Museum to provide free admission for all guests to all Port Huron cultural sites for 1 year, and to waive the city resident general admission fee to all city pools for 1 year.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support?
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Go ahead, James.
Madam Mayor and Council, we have seen the remarkable success of Discovery City. We are now approaching about 10,000 people that will end up going through there in the 6 to 7 months that it's been open. That's more people than have entered the Carnegie building in years and years and years. The Carnegie building cost several $100,000 in the last several years to maintain. The lightship cost almost $100,000 last year to prevent from doing what it does best, sailing away in the high waters. The Edison Depot we fund and own, and also takes repairs and investment into that facility. Like any public asset, the value is in how many people get to use it. If you look at the cost of mowing and maintaining Lakeside Beach, it's enormous. If you look at the cost it takes to mow and maintain Pine Grove Park, it's enormous. But the value proposition of the community is that thousands and thousands and thousands of people get to use those facilities on a daily and weekly basis. The same comes for public facilities like our museums. So after the success of Discovery City, I was having lunch with the director of the museum, and I said, so let's talk about these other assets. You know, we have the lightship and the depot, and you know, I walk that every day, and I bike that every day. I don't see a lot of people entering the lightship, but I see a lot of people at Pine Grove Park. I don't see a lot of people entering the depot, but I see a lot of people along the boardwalk. We're in a community that has a per capita income of less than $30,000 a year. It's actually less than $25,000 a year. We are a low-income community for a lot of our residents. And I believe that, just like all of you believe, there is a lot of kids and a lot of families who would love to see the lightship, who would love to see the depot, but maybe don't have the $6 or $10 in mission cost per person to get in. And so as we've seen with the generous donation of the James C. Atchison Foundation to subsidize Discovery City, we see that when there's a pathway and equitable access to these facilities, people use them. And so I asked the director, I said, so how much money are we talking to make these facilities open and available to everybody? And it was only $50,000. We could remove that barrier of entry for every family and every child in the city. Additionally, when you talk with the Conventions and Visitors Bureau, they believe that the lightship and the depot could be real drivers of tourism. Meaning these are real assets that people who've never been here maybe would go see the lightship. And when you look at the Blue Water Bridge from the bow of the lightship, it's pretty incredible. And to learn the history of Edison in our hometown, a lot of people don't know that history. In the depot, candidly, I had been city manager here for several years before I actually entered the depot. Yeah, it was embarrassing. And it's a remarkable facility, and I want every kid and every family to have that experience. And so this will remove those barriers. We talk about equity and community assets. This is about building community wealth and equity and access to our shared heritage in these sites. Additionally, I was speaking with the mayor, and the mayor says, you know, the constant goal is to add value with our Parks and Recreation millage money. So if you look at what we've done with our Parks and Recreation and millage funds, we've really we've leveraged that. Nancy has taken 2 fishes and 2 loaves and really leveraged it with the Wilson, with the DNR, with Community Foundation, with the Community Foundation of Eastern Michigan, and we've been able to accomplish a lot leveraging those funds. We want to bring value to the residents of Port Huron. So the residents of Port Huron who stood up and supported those millages, because we've addressed our unfunded liabilities, because we've been able to get our financial house in order, we are now in a position where we don't need to charge for general admission for pools for city residents. So if you're a taxpayer in the city of Port Huron, your kids and your family should be entered that pool at no cost. And so that was Mayor Rep's addition. I appreciate it. It was a great idea. So really, this is about tearing down barriers and allowing equitable access to our city resources, our city assets. In addition to that, let's wealth build by taking our assets and making them economic drivers, which is what this is intended to do with our museum, with the lightship, and the depot. It really is the Huron experience to experience all those assets. So if a lot of people come to the convention centers and visitors bureau, maybe they wouldn't pay to enter the depot, or they wouldn't pay to enter the lightship because they don't know what's in there. They've never seen it. You can't miss what you haven't seen. But if they know that they can get in for free and go see those, we're hoping to see a lot of people visit. Now, since this made the paper, the Conventions and Visitors Bureau wants to jump on board. They're going to throw an additional $5,000 to the museum to help support any ancillary cost, as well as include this in all their advertising, including their print magazine, their print stuff, their website, and include it in the Pure Michigan advertising campaign. On top of that, ITC, which owns all the transmission lines in the state of Michigan, love the idea of sharing the history about Edison and the history of that inventor in Port Huron. And so they offered a sponsorship for an additional $1,000 as well. So just by investing in $50,000, the word's gotten out, and now it's turning into $56,000, and we greatly anticipate announcements in the coming weeks of additional funders who will jump on board. The idea, Port Huron will be one of the first communities in the region. It's been done around the state and around the country, but we'll be one of the first communities in the region to really put equity at the front door of all these facilities.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Freed?
Just a
Yes,
comment.
go ahead.
James, I think you made a good point about the annual income of a big portion of the families in Port Huron. Growing up only a few blocks rather, from Sanborn Pool, and one of 5 kids, there was a lot of times in the summer all 5 of us couldn't go to the pool, and we would go in shifts, basically. So I think it's a great idea, and it'll open up for a lot of people who have never been to the pools to get a chance to do it. So I think it's a great idea. Thank you.
Pauline's Mayor Rep's idea, not mine.
I was thanking her.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, I think that, this is a good thing. You know, I have to admit, that I have some problems, with all that. But the thing is, what we're doing, especially, in particularly the resolution reads about a year, giving us a year to see where we are. And I think you need all the data points in order to derive when you're problem solving, to make it, because the worst thing is to have an unknown on a metric, well, what is that, what's missing? So we're gonna have to, start with everybody that free. So I'm good with that. The only thing I just don't want to undermine the integrity of the museum or the sites, none of the sites that we have. That is what makes us. And when you mention the community wealth building, that is that. Because sometimes, whether we like it or not, it's not always how many people you can get and see. It's about quality too. What do you have to make that difference in order for me to want to go? So I just want to make sure that we don't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I think that the museum is in a prime spot now. I mean, you have brought that attention, you elevated that. And what I would do with that year's time, tell, the people at the museum, I mean, you got all this to just go at it and build what you need to build, that big vision, that bigger vision, to meet us halfway where we are, and all these people that are supporting us and are coming on board. So you're not canceled out. This is just something to move you, encourage you, and support you even that much more. Because when you think about community wealth, you're thinking about the people in our city. We want them to trust us, and they need to feel that they belong. This is their city. This is their history, their culture. And I think the museum have, in their own rights, I mean, their voice is coming out, and maybe it's not in a big way just yet. I mean, you got the Stanley Wall, the culture, you got other things that are happening there. Sure, you have the offshoot of the Discovery City, and that you have to put on a different scale because it's not as a part of that history hut, but it's still addressing what needs to happen. And we live in a different world today, and we need these out of the box, just what happen things to make us happen, to do what we gotta do. So I just hope that they're, encouraged by this, because I know how it is, you're gonna come in and, and go in somebody's house. We're not the SMEs, the subject matter experts. Those are the experts. They have the passion, to keep this going. And we just all have to continue to try to work together and connect with them to make them that much more successful.
You're 100% correct. In fact, I hope we're going to track the data year over year.
Right.
So it's, for instance, Carnegie, maybe they were lucky if in 2019 they had 2,000 visitors all year. Mm-hmm. They're now approaching 10,000 within 7 or 8 months.
Right.
So the value is it's hard for residents to value an asset if they've never experienced the asset. And so we want to come back to council in a year and show, I want dramatic growth. I want double the growth of visitors. I want triple the growth of visitors. I want this to be an extraordinary opportunity for everyone to go in, and because you have a whole generation of Port Huron residents who will value that history, cherish that history, and soon will be the caretakers of that history as well.
Yeah, and so I just, commend you wherever the insight comes from. Sometimes not always where it comes from. It's the outcome. We're looking at, that you can have all the efforts in the world, but it's the results that's going to make the difference. So, whether, you don't have all what you have starting off, but towards that end, towards what we're working for, it would be better, all the way around, because we're all in this together. We're not, locking heads, but we're just locking arms and arms, trying to get this thing done. So go for it, Port Huron Museum.
Is there any other comments from anyone on council?
Mayor Rep,
Yes.
I just want to echo what Councilman Mosrek was saying. This is, the timeliness of this is incredible. I think, when we start talking numbers year over year, I would have, I think it would have been tough to see what next year's numbers would have looked like for the museum because I filled up my tank on the way here at $4.25 a gallon. And at $4.25 a gallon, a $6 ticket to the Depot Museum is a little harder to stomach. And so I'm excited for this. I think it's a great opportunity. As Mr. Freed said, so many residents can't appreciate a museum that they've never been to. And that's a terrible thing to think that our residents can't afford to visit some of our historic cultural sites. I had the privilege of taking my little girls to the Huron Lightship this summer, and it was a great experience. And to know now that so many people, as Nancy was just saying, that park's a huge, huge hub of activity, and that people are now going to see a big banner that says they can go get on that ship and check it out. I think that's just going to be incredible. So I'm really excited about this partnership.
Anyone else? No, I think it's a great idea. I know that even when they started years ago to be a tourist in your own town and everything was free, and it was very successful to begin with, but not so much maybe in the last while. It kind of was not the same, but a lot of people went then to the Thomas Edison Depot and to the Lightship, and a lot of those people had never been there before, and I think because it cost money and they didn't want to spend the money to go or couldn't afford to spend the money to go. It's so this is a great opportunity for not only our residents but for people visiting here, because then they will spend money in our community, so it's good for the community as a whole. So I hope we're going to have regular hours though at these places, so it's going to be open every day for certain hours so that it's not, people come and say, oh no, it's free, but it's not open. So okay. And that'll be on the banners, the advertised hours. Okay. Anything else?
Mayor Rep.
Yes.
If I may, just rather than waiting for a full year, how about a quarterly, just to see where we go through these different seasons and such, and see how things are going along the way? Because it is significant, and it's just it reflects back, as we've talked about, what the average income is in our city. And now this is an opportunity. Bob talked about going to the pool and those kinds of things. It's exciting to see that that's an opportunity that they, as everyone stated, walk right on. And it'd be nice to see what the numbers are and any suggestions along the way that we may hear about in the community, and then throw them back your way. And then, of course, you can connect with the museum as you have before. So that'd be, I would suggest that, please.
Absolutely. One of the stories Nancy always tells is about how she knows kids who would collect pop bottles to try to get into the pool. Oh. And shouldn't have to collect pop bottles when your mom and dad get socked with a healthy tax bill. So we'll make sure it gets taken care of for them.
Thank you, and we will take the vote.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Ashford?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrek?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Ruiz?
Yes.
Mayor Rep.
Yes, that concludes our regular agenda. There's one announcement: winter decorations in Lakeside Cemetery must be removed from the cemetery plots by March 31st. Removal of remaining items will begin on April the 1st if you have not already taken them. And then I just want to mention that I had the opportunity to give a welcome this evening before the council meeting to the NJCAA women's basketball participants up at they had a opening event up at the convention center. But the games do start tomorrow at the SC4 Field House. We've got teams from all over the United States, and boy, they were an enthusiastic bunch of young ladies. So it was really nice to see. So a lot of talent, and so if you get an opportunity to see a game, head on over there.
What time?
I'm not sure their schedule. They have 5 games, I think, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they start at 9:30 in the morning, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
but I'm sure it's posted on the college website. So I did want to mention that. Is there anything else to come before council?
Mayor Rep, I just wanted to say, it wasn't too long ago we were talking in a budget meeting about closing the pools. because we couldn't afford to keep them open. And here we are offering free entry to all residents. So I want to say congratulations to fellow council members past, future, or past and current, I mean, and to City Manager James Freed, and especially to the employees of the city that have given back so much in all the times that we were struggling so hard. Our residents that came forward with the millage, all of these things came together to make this happen. And it's just really an honor to be sitting here and see where we've come and what we've done. So congratulations to everyone involved. It's very exciting times.
It is. Thank you for saying that.
Well, Cranes must agree with you. You see that Crane said St. Clair County is on the move, headlines. Yep, it's that time.
Very good.
Yeah.
Anything else to come before council? Then I will have someone do a motion to adjourn, please.
So move, guys.
Meeting adjourned.
You can send that back down if you would.